Hello everybody, welcome to another True Review. Today I'm bringing you Rock Zombie on the Xbox One. It's by a Spanish company called Neon Studios and published by Enjoy Up Games. It should be on the marketplace at the same time this review goes up, which should be the 4th of December. It's an old school side-scrolling brawler like your old Streets of Rage games, Final Fight, Double Dragon, games such as that, but when it's not on a 2D plane like those games tend to be, you can actually fight into and out of the screen as well, which does add another aspect to it. Now you play as one of three sisters who are part of a rock band called Rock Zombie. The sisters happen to also be witches as well, which comes in handy when the crowd they're playing in front of turn into a bloodthirsty horde of zombies. So the sisters have to break out the auditorium and find out what's caused the zombie plague. Now they do that by fighting with their guitar. You've got your basic vertical attack, horizontal attack, and with them being witches as well, you have various different magical attacks at your disposal. You have a basic fireball, you have like a concentrated stream which goes through various enemies, and you have like an area clear attack which blows up everything around you. Each of these costs varying amounts of your magic bar, which you build up by just dispatching enemies or by collecting vials of magic energy which are dotted around the levels. So you hit the start button and you're presented with a choice of the three sisters. Now just to make things simple, the red-haired one is the one who's okay at everything, doesn't excel in any of the stats. The yellow-haired one is fast but weak, and the blue-haired one is strong but slow. All the characters have the same movesets, which is a missed opportunity, because the beauty of these kind of games is the characters are usually diverse and have different skills, different special moves, but all three sisters do share the same attacks, animations, magical attacks. The only thing that differs is the colour of the magical attack reflects their colour of their hair. Once you've picked the character, you're then able to pick a costume and a guitar to use. Unfortunately, at the start of the game, none of these are unlocked other than the default options. Those are unlocked by collecting coins throughout the game and spending them in the museum, but more on that a bit later on. Another missed opportunity with the characters as well is during the opening cutscene, it's clear that one of the sisters plays the drums. I'm presuming the other two with playing guitar, one's going to be a lead guitar and one's a bass guitar as well. Could have gone down the route where the sisters wield different weapons, with the bass guitar being a completely different kind of attack. The bass guitar could have been the heavy attack sister, and the speedy sister as well should have used the drumsticks as a weapon, but no, all three sisters do unfortunately use the guitar, which I think is a little bit lazy on part of the developer. Story dialogue is shown by a number of cutscenes, which are presented in a comic book fashion, which I thought was a really good idea and would have suited the game really well. Unfortunately, there's been a decision made to put it through an awful graphics filter, which gives the graphics this muddied, smudged effect, and they do look very, very off-putting and untidy. There's also numerous grammatical errors throughout the game as well, and sometimes the words don't fit properly into the comic book speech bubbles that are on the screen. There is also a few occasions where the UI to advance the story actually covers up the speech bubbles themselves, so you can't actually read the text. Just a little bit sloppy on the part of the developer. Shouldn't really happen really. I mean, it's just a term of checking your product before you release it. So once you get into the game, you immediately identify a problem with the melee combat. If you are too close to an enemy, your attacks will actually go through them. The guitar swing actually lands behind the enemy and doesn't register a hit, so you have to find that sweet spot, the ideal range between you and the enemies to actually attack them. You get to learn it pretty quickly, but it shouldn't really be the case really. The attacks should connect, especially when you are up close. The magical attacks are easily pulled off. They're all simple button presses depending on if you have the required magical energy to actually activate them. The game does also give you a few basic combos as well. The longest combo is 4 button presses. They're all very easy to pull off, and you do get a little bit of damage boost when you do pull those combos off, and the name of the combo flashes up onto the screen in a comic book style font. I'm a little bit disappointed with the combos, to be honest with you. They don't look very impressive at all, and with the characters being witches, I would have expected there to be some kind of graphical flair once you actually activate a combo, like a little explosion or something to that effect, but it's very, very low key, and to be honest with you, the damage boost is very insignificant, and other than getting the achievements for pulling off the combos so many times, there's very little incentive to actually use the combos because the basic attacks do an adequate job in dispatching the majority of the zombies. In terms of graphics, if I'm being really kind to it, I would say it's a high-end PS1 title, graphical standard. Not really the standard we expect from today's kind of games, if I'm honest with you. The character models themselves look very, very strange, especially when the camera focuses in very close to them. The main hero characters look very odd as well. In terms of enemies that you will face, they all tend to be very muddy, dark, greys, browns, greens, splodgy kind of graphics. The zombies themselves come in a number of varieties. There's the basic walkers, there's fast running zombies, there's ones that are on fire who for some unknown reason explode when they die. You have a large fat zombie who spews bile at you from range, and of course we have zombie dogs and zombie spiders, because what horror game wouldn't be complete without those two classical horror tropes that we tend to get in every single game. The game comprises of 21 levels. Majority of those are the side-scrolling beat-em-up levels. However, there is 4 boss levels thrown in there as well, and there is also 2 driving levels, which are really, really bad. First one you're on a bike, second one you're in a car, but they both play the exact same way. You have no control over your vehicle other than moving left and right, and the game description says you have to plow down zombies to advance, which is not true. You just simply have to get to the end of the level, avoiding cars, holes in the road, slime pools for some reason, and lava pools for again some reason. And they're not difficult, but they are just horrendous and didn't really need to be thrown into the game, to be honest with you. The combat levels themselves, they're very, very vast in terms of depth, which is a big problem for the game because there's not an awful lot of on-screen interaction between you and the environment. The only things you can really break are things that are actually labelled rock zombie, such as barrels and things. It's just, it seems to be a very, very barren play area that you're generally fighting in the majority of the time. Sound is a number of rock tracks, but none of them are very memorable, and some of them are quite annoying, to be honest with you, so I did tend to find I was turning the sound down a little bit towards the end of the game. In terms of achievements, it looks a pretty easy achievement list other than completing the game on hardcore mode without continuing. Now that may get easier when you are able to purchase the extra equipment from the museum, which I briefly mentioned earlier on. There is a slight issue with that at the moment though, because the game is not actually awarding you coins correctly, so you're not able to gain the money to actually buy these items. The developer I have contacted and they say they are aware of the problem and are working on it, but whether that will be sorted out before the game's launched, I simply don't know. And now we get to the game's biggest problem, and it's absolutely criminal that this is the case. Now, these kind of games, side-scrolling brawlers, are made for multiplayer. You know, you want to play them online with your mates. Side-scrolling brawlers like Streets of Rage, Final Fight, Golden Axe, things such as that. They're always multiplayer. You always can pick your characters, you always can fight. Turtles, X-Men, games such as that, all multiplayers. Hell, X-Men was 6-player. Now, this game, now brace yourselves everybody, this game is single player. There's not even online multiplayer, there's not local multiplayer, it's single player. You can't have a single player side-scrolling brawler, it's just absolutely criminal. There's just no excuse for it. You've created 3 characters, yes there may be identikit characters and nothing different between them, but come on, there's got to be at least local multiplayer, which would be criminal in itself, because it should be online multiplayer. But for no multiplayer whatsoever, I just don't get it. I just don't understand that decision whatsoever. It makes no sense to me. These games were made for multiplayer. These games were probably the first games that multiplayer became popular in. You know, you could, when you go to the arcade, just side by side on the joysticks, both playing the game together. But no, it's single player only, and I just do not get that decision whatsoever. It just boggles my mind, to be honest with you. So Rock Zombie I'm going to give a 3 out of 10. There's no multiplayer. The graphics of PS1 era, which is no excuse for it really. There's no variety between the characters. The levels are very bland, repetitive, way too big, lack of interaction. The enemies are repetitive as well. There's not an awful lot of different enemy variants, and the game's 21 levels. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. The driving levels are absolutely abysmal, and then I mentioned there's no multiplayer. So yeah, 3 out of 10 is the most I can award this game, I'm afraid. These games are one of my favourite genre of games, and I'm just really disappointed in Rogue Zombie. So I hope you enjoyed that review, guys. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and do follow me on my various social media pages. It does really help me build the channel and bring these games to you as quickly as possible. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.